Good afternoon. Hey, just first of all, just thoughts and prayers go down to the people in Florida with this storm's getting ready to hit. I mean, I feel like last couple of weeks, man, it's been crazy storms. Obviously affected the Carolinas a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of devastation there. So hopefully, hope for the best this week for all those folks in Florida there in the Gulf, and obviously, hope for the best for our game too. We don't really know. As right now, we're on. We're going down Friday and playing on Saturday. So unless something changes, that's what we're planning to do, and just get ready to play Central Florida this week in practice. Speaking of Central Florida, I think it's an outstanding football team with a lot of talent. One of the best offenses in the country. Certainly one of the best rushing offenses in the country, and they have a lot of playmakers. The quarterback's a outstanding player. They run him and do play action with him. Big guy, 6'3", around 250. So obviously a tough guy to tackle. I think about their running back, Harvey. I think he's an outstanding player as well. Short, low to the ground, very powerful and fast. And then defensively, I think, new defensive coordinator this year, doing a lot of multiple things. They haven't had the kind of pressure they want to have, I think, this year. And I think, last week they started heating guys up a little bit more, so we anticipate seeing some more pressure this week. I think, certainly have some great athletes out there as well. So, obviously going on the road again for a second time in a row for us, going into another hostile environment, good atmosphere there, students come out, so yeah, great challenge for us, and we're looking forward to it.
What is the process this week? Is it something strictly that's decided by UCF? Is there contact with the Big 12, with Cincinnati? Like, how does all of this work as it unfolds?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of both with that. Our administration, our people are in contacts with the Big 12 office as well as Central Florida. And as of right now, I mean, everything's just like it would be. We're going to go down Friday, play Saturday. So unless something changes, I think, it's a little bit of a wait and see approach to see how, as it comes in tomorrow, to see, how it affects everybody. And then kind of go from there. But I mean, it looks like on the weather, it'll be a nice day Saturday, but obviously what happens between then is going to determine what we end up doing. But as of right now, everything's on. And so for us, I mean, we can't control any of that anyway. For us, we're just doing everything we can to get ready to go play a game on Saturday.
How do you guys handle that logistically? Because there's a lot involved in a road trip, and you would maybe need a hotel another night. You'd have to practice all that stuff. How does that go, or do you work that into your plan?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to our hotel. We're trying to make sure everything's in place for that. To go down Friday, to stay at the hotel, we have our airline ready to go and all that. So if something does change, then I think pretty much everybody's on high notice of something that possibly could be tweaked. Whether it be a time or a day or whatever. And so we're in contact, and so it's kind of wait and see really right now to see, if we do need to change. But hopefully, everything will be like it was before, and we can go on and play our game on Saturday.
You're facing a team that has high expectations. They've had a rough 2 weeks. How do you prepare for that kind of wounded animal? Like, they're kind of backed into a corner right now, and looking at a rival, a conference opponent, like, they're probably looking to get healthy on you.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think, certainly in their shoes, you lose a couple in a row, you're going to want to come out and play your best. Kind of like that dog backed in the corner. I mean, they're going to fight. So we know we're going to get their best shot. Also, the fact that, there's been a great rivalry between the two programs. So, you're going to get that. For us, it doesn't change our preparation. I mean, we still got to go in and with our same preparation, how we've been getting ready to play. Have a great mindset as we head down, and so that's kind of where our focus, starting really last week. We had our bye, so but Sunday we talked about that and going out and having our very best week of preparation to go down and play a great game.
They had a number of guys drop out after 4 games, and I've seen that among other programs, not just UCF. I assume you guys are all right in that category.
Yeah, we are. That's the world we're living in college football now. After 4 games, if teams depend on their bye, when someone plays their 4th game, if they decide this may not be it for me, and we've seen that across the country, and that's college football nowadays.
You guys came out of Texas Tech pretty beat up. Do you have updates on certain people? Do you just want to go down the list because it's a pretty long one?
It's a long list. Yeah, I mean, I think, man, what a great time to have the bye week for us. We were beat up, and we had over 25 guys on the injury list after the game. And fortunately for us, the majority of those guys are getting back and will practice Sunday. The one I think, Rutherford, Cam was probably the one I think most injured. That I would say would be the biggest question, whether he plays this week. But I would anticipate the rest of our guys playing. I'm, sitting here looking at my list, but I would think the rest of them are playing. We're going to get Jonathan Thompson's back this week, which is awesome. I mean, he's been a great player for us defensively and special teams. He's had an outstanding year. To get him back, that's going to be huge. I think that really Rutherford's probably the one with the biggest question mark, but I feel like everybody else is going to be ready to go.
Your two losses are to two teams that have combined record of 10-1. I know they're disappointing, but are you starting to get to the point where you feel comfortable with the trajectory of the program where you want it to be?
Well, I mean, yeah, we're always trying to get better. I certainly, think we're headed in the right direction for sure. We're, offensively have been able to move the ball and put some points on the board, and I think that's obviously been good. Defensively, we're still continuing to work. We're certainly not where we need to be, for several reasons, which we've talked about. But I think, we're headed in the right direction. We're not where obviously not where we want to be. We want to be undefeated right now, and we missed an opportunity, I think, in those two games, to change that win record. But I think for us, we still got everything that we want ahead of us. As you think about, we're halfway point, and we still got a lot of our goals, most of our goals intact. And so, obviously, it's a huge game for us to go down the road and try to get a Big 12 win. I think that's something that we have to do, and this year, and this is a great opportunity for that.
Have you ever had a situation like you did at Texas Tech where you're down your top 4 backs? And how much do you have to look at that in terms of load management and trying to get those guys, even if they play this week, back to 100%?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, all the way back to 1998 when I was at App State, we played Northwestern State in the playoffs one year, and I remember looking on the bench. Every one of our running backs had a towel over their head except for one guy. He was the last one to play, and we did not win that game. We didn't play good either, but that was probably the last time I can remember. It was a long time ago. But not. I mean, I think I don't really look at it like that. I look at it like we get all our guys at every position ready to play. And if a guy does go down, then the next guy up, next man up. And we've had that happen at several positions this year. Not to the extent where you lose that many guys at one position, but we have had that happen, and we've had to have guys step up, and guys have stepped up and made plays, and that's what it's all about. To me, our program, we want to get to a point where, if the starter goes down, the next guy comes in, and we don't really fall off too much. I mean, we're still right where we're competing, we're making plays, but that comes back to your training. That's how we prepare, that's how we practice, and so, we're getting better at that regard. So, but I don't look at it as like load management, those type of things. I look at it like, who's our best player? Let's play them until they can't play anymore. And I think that's what we want our team to be. I mean, we want to put our best guys out to be able to give us a chance to win.
Texas Tech had 230 yards on the ground against you all 2 weeks ago. You mentioned R.J. Harvey of UCF. He had 3 touchdowns against you last year here at Nippert. How do you look and change from last time out to be able to contain a rush attack like he has?
Yeah, I mean, we got to do a better job of being where we're supposed to be, fitting the defense and tackling. I mean, we had too many missed assignments last week. We had some missed tackles. I think he's an outstanding back, the Texas Tech running back. I mean, he's going to be playing on Sundays, and a guy who was very impressive in person. He's impressive on film, but to watch him in person, very impressive. At 230 pounds, very patient, but also had great quickness to make you miss. And this guy's the same. But unfortunately, we got another one this week who I think is an outstanding back that's going to be playing on Sundays. He's shorter, he's more compact, but he's got great speed, toughness, durability. I mean, we talk about our back. The guy last week, how many carries did he have last week? I mean, 28 carries or 32 carries. I mean, he had a ton of carries last week, and so you got to ride your big dog. I mean, it's like if Corey Connor's ready to go, we're going to ride him, and so I think that's what we got to do. But to your point, your question is like, we have to tackle better. We have to get more hats to the ball. I think that's critical. It's so hard to tackle these guys one-on-one when you play these great backs like we back to back. We got another one next week too at Arizona State. He's a great back. So I mean, in this league, that's what we're going to play. A lot of good running backs. And so, but it's getting more hands to the ball. It's being where you're supposed to be. It's fitting right. I mean, all those things, and it's a combination of all those things in order to play better.
So you get on last year's game. You guys there was a combined 500 rushing yards between you guys and UCF. Do you see that being the same kind of game this Saturday, or just kind of go, throwing the football?
I have no
Do you
idea.
have no idea?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, my mom asked me, "Are you guys ready to play?" I have no idea. I mean, it's like when you go out there and play the game. Once you start playing it, you start figuring some stuff out, right? You're like, hey, we're doing a great job at doing this, whether it be running the football or throwing the football, and you're going to keep attacking that, or we're doing a great job at slowing the run down. Okay, well then now what are they going to have to do? So it's like, once you start playing the game, you start figuring out what's happening, what's working, what's not working, what adjustments you're going to have to make. And it just so happened last year that both teams were running the football, and it was a great game. It was a back and forth game. I mean, I think. What did we come down? We missed a 2-point conversion there at the end to tie it. I mean, so there's been some great battles over the years, and so I expect it to be the same. I mean, it's going to be a tight game. I think, man, you look at the Big 12. I feel like that's the way it is every week in these games, and even college football for that matter. It's some crazy stuff that happens in college football, and so. But it comes back to your preparation. It comes back to getting ready to play and then going out and performing on game day.
To piggyback off the question, maybe a couple questions ago. RJ Harvey is a dynamic back, but they also have a dynamic, quarterback that likes to run the ball. I know you guys have had, experience against the guys that like to run, i.e. Houston, but what different challenges will Jefferson bring for you?
Well, I think Coach Malzahn, he's been doing this for years. He does a great job with what they do offensively to put the defense in conflict. I mean, that's what they're going to do. They formation you, they'll motion. They're going to, try to get you out of position and alignment, and now you have to tackle a guy with one guy. And that's tough. I mean, because RJ Harvey, a lot of times he'll make the one guy miss. And then where's the next guy? Well, if they've got you out of position, there's nobody else, and that's where the big plays come in. And now, not only are you defending 10 guys, now with this quarterback, you're defending 11. So I think that's the whole premise of being able to run your quarterback. Is now that we have to have a guy signed for the quarterback, and now that's one guy short for the running back. So I mean, I think that's why they've been so good at what they do. And then just when you load up a box, and that's when the play action comes. So obviously you got to do a great job of tackling and try to make them one-dimensional. I mean, you got to try to slow the running game down, whatever you can to do that. And I know everybody that plays them tries to do that, and they have a hard time doing it. So certainly got a work cut out for us, but it comes back to being where we're supposed to be and assignment, and then getting a lot of hats to the ball.
Coach, I know you have a lot of guys to watch on the team, obviously, but Antoine Peak Jr., his dad has connections here, played in the NFL, working on a story on him. Just curious, what have you noticed about him and how he carries himself as a young player who's making some splash plays for his team?
Yeah, I think he's had an excellent year for us. There's no question about it. Special teams, he's our leading tackler on special teams. So probably our MVP in the units right now. But he's also played great on defense as well. He's a very physical player. He has good size. But he'll pull his trigger. He's coming downhill to hit and play physical. We love the way he plays. He's a quiet leader. He doesn't say a whole lot out there, but he leads by example. And I think, he's got a tremendous amount of respect from his teammates. And I think, so all those things that we just said, I mean, he's an outstanding young person as well as a player.
Coach, you talk about the run game there a little bit for UCF. Obviously, this is one of the most dynamic running back rooms in all of college football, averaging nearly 300 yards a game, not only in RJ Harvey, but Penny Boone as well. What's going to be the biggest focus in wrapping them up behind the line and getting the stop side?
Yeah, I mean, you think about, Penny Boone comes in. He's another big guy, 230-some pounds. And, it just goes back to what I mentioned earlier. I mean, it's the challenge of formation recognition, figuring out what formation they're in. Is it unbalanced? And then what motions and adjustments are they going to be making? And then communication with our defense. So much of it is being where you're supposed to be. If I'm not aligned in my gap, then that's going to be a problem. And so trying to get it lined up, being in our gap, and then playing very physical football. I mean, that's the key. And getting a lot of hats to the ball. Again, I mentioned it's hard to tackle them single guy tackle them. You have to get 2 hats, 3 hats to the ball, and that becomes just chasing the football and playing hard.
The game's changed and people are jumping around, but you had 3 guys go there. Threats is left, Montgomery's hurt, that leaves Pace. Does that mean anything to the players, or is that anything that you even want to admit to?
No, I mean, I think this college football nowadays, right? I mean, we got a bunch of transfers on our team that were once with another team, and it's part of what we're what college football is nowadays. And so, you know, we still, as we're breaking them down, I mean, we're still looking at what are they doing offensively, defensively, what are their tendencies, and how can we attack them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's not one person here or there. I think that's the thing about a sport of football is that, you know, we're going to travel 70 guys down there, and a lot of them are going to play, and you got to play as one. You got to play as a team, and it's not just one person. So, you know, I really we just focus on the team, the unit, whatever we're playing against, not the single person.
You've talked about Brennan being able to kind of spread it around to multiple receivers throughout the season. How refreshing was it to see, in specifically that last drive, him continue to do that? Because I think he hit 3 to 4 different receivers marching on the field.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that last drive, I mean, I don't know how many plays he ran in the last drive, but I felt like it was about a different defense every time. I mean, there's a lot of different defenses out there. They threw everything at us to try to slow us down, and you know, Brendan was doing a great job of recognizing what they were in and finding the open guy. And it wasn't just, like you mentioned, it wasn't just the one guy. You know, we're trying to find multiple guys, taking what the defense gives us, and we gave ourselves a chance. You know, we got down, we ran out of time, you know, for a couple different reasons, but we ran out of time, you know, and unfortunately did knock down the field goal to give ourselves a chance to go win it in overtime. But I think, you know, that's the one thing we have to continue to be able to do, and Brendan does, the quarterback, is to always take what the defense gives us and not try to force the ball. I mean, if we hit the underneath when they're all sinking, that's great. That's what we got to do. And I think he's got to continue to do that. And, you know, I think the guys around him within the offense are good enough to get yards and first downs and touchdowns. And we've seen that throughout the season. So we just got to be able to continue to do that.
In addition to getting healthy, you were able, I assume, to watch the game against the Gators.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a plus is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing was getting healthy last week. But then also being able to relax on Saturday. A lot of our guys just relax, watching college football, to see the craziness of college football, to see the fact that you have to get yourself mentally ready to play. I think that's more than anything is the mental side and getting ready to play. And that's how, if you don't do that, then you're going to get beat. And it doesn't matter who it is. You know, Vanderbilt was a team that lost to Georgia State a few weeks ago and then beats Alabama. I mean, so you have to get yourself ready to play each and every week, no matter who you're playing, more than ever nowadays in college football.
With the Manny Kobe play, when he kind of hobbled off to the sideline, what did you kind of expect from that situation? Is it kind of, okay, you were hurt, I understand why you went off, or did you kind of expect him to kind of stay in the field to save some time?
Well, in that scenario, unless you can't stand up, you need to stay on the field, right? I mean, and then, you know, within that play, either, because we're going to throw the football in that scenario, we're either going to throw it, you know, incompletion, or if we catch it and get a first down, then you got to stay in there again. But if it's an incompletion, now you can come off. I mean, it's just, you know, it's an unfortunate rule. I understand why they do it, you know, because you can fake an injury and then get your offense lined up when they stop the clock. I understand why they do that, but it is unfortunate in that scenario. You almost have to be able not to move in order to do it. Now, hindsight, looking back at it, he probably should have just laid down. We just take the 10-second runoff, because that takes time. Now, okay, he took them 6 or 7 seconds to get off the field. Now they're going to go hold it. Now they get 4 seconds before they can run a guy on, and those guys, you see how they ran on and off. I mean, it took about 20 seconds for that to happen, so I'd rather 10 seconds than that. So hindsight, just go down in that scenario. I mean, we had 2 10-second runoffs and that in that last drive, and it really ultimately cost us the time that we would have had in order to try to go score.
How much does that throw out the entire plan? I mean, you get it with a minute 53, and you probably lose 45 seconds, 45 seconds.
Yeah, no, it definitely throws off your whole thinking in the process. And actually in the second to last play and the last play, Sorsby, you know, threw him away because he knew the clock was down. I mean, like, he's like, I can't hold this ball anymore. I got to throw it. And I think we had some guys getting ready to come open, but had we had more time, I think his thinking would have been a little bit different. You know, I do think we got to look at changing a rule. If a referee thinks he sees something and calls a penalty on that and goes, and then it's not a penalty, and then, but yeah, we still get a 10-second runoff. They're penalizing us for nothing that we did. Like, all we did was play ball. And the referee thought he saw something. Well, it wasn't. And now I got to give you a 10-second runoff. What do we do? You know, I think that definitely needs to be looked at this offseason. We need to get that rule changed. And it doesn't happen too often. But if it's in that scenario, it can happen again. And that is an unfortunate 10-second runoff that we don't need to have. We just need to be able to put the ball back down and start the clock and ready for play. And that would have saved us 10 seconds on that particular scenario.
Keegan, final question?
There was some drama out of Las Vegas last week with Matthew Sluka and the NIL payments and stuff like that. What kind of safeguards have you tried to put into your program here to kind of make sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we've got our collective is outstanding. I mean, our people that run our collective do a great job, high integrity, doing things right. Because when we first put that in, with the collective was like, if we're doing a collective, then it's got to be done right. Because we don't want anything like that to happen. Okay, well, you told a player such and such, but we didn't do that. Well, that's going to get back to everybody, right? And so now you lose all credibility. And I think, and I don't know the circumstances for UNLV. I have no idea. But I think in our case, we want to do things right. We want to do it with integrity. And I think when you do it that way, then you're not going to have any of those situations to pop up like that. There could be some disappointment ultimately, but if you do things right, everybody knew it. Everybody was above board on what they were doing. So that's how we've ran our collective and our people that run the collective. And so we hadn't had any issues with that.
Thank you,
All right,
Coach.
thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.